why you should read D. Gray Man.
Now!
Oh man, I found another banger shonen and wow did I love this. Shout out to my boy Crimson Devil for gassing this series up because that really made me fly through this amazing series and just see some greatness. D. Gray Man is something special, I swear. There's like so many elements that were constructed well into the story, and with the payoff that is used in it, it just made it such a great experience when reading. From the themes, insane lore, intriguing characters, D. Gray Man has it all, and it really didn't turn out like a typical battle shonen. Alright, I'm getting ahead of myself. I haven't even said what I'm doing today. Well, guess what? Today, like every other manga review on the channel, I'm gonna be gassing this up and trying to convince you to start this hidden gem. I've just recently caught up to this manga. Oh yeah, it's still ongoing, so that's great. There's a lot more left to the series, and even if it releases slowly, at least it isn't on hiatus. This is a non-spoiler video, so sit back comfortably and enjoy the praise. So D. Gray Man is a manga that specializes in both dark and hopeful themes. It's a manga that reels you into the plot and makes you question some things like if the good guys are really the good guys, or what exactly is the origin of the problem that rose in the story. Much like any other manga, but it keeps things secretive for a very long time whilst planting only small bits, not too big, but small bits of foreshadowing that you wouldn't even know about it if you hadn't read the manga twice. Or maybe 3 times, or 4, I don't even know. This series is so complex that you'd need to sit for a very long time to work out the story, and that's exactly why it pulled me in. Let me just get right into the plot and tell you what exactly it's about. So D. Gray Man is in a world that has a group of people called the Black Order that live in fear of the end of everything. Their world has been threatened by someone named the Millennium Earl, who's a really intriguing character, and as the story goes on, you'll come to find out many shocking things about both his origin and his connections. Well, the Earl is really strong, but his strength isn't actually the most scariest thing that comes from him. He's able to create an army called the Akuma, and the way they're created is pretty much one of the most tragic things that come from this manga. The Akuma are obviously named after demons, but they're not actually real demons. Akuma are created by the soul of a dead person who has been mourned by someone who has made a contract with the Millennium Earl. Say that someone close to you dies, you're practically broken, you're in shambles, and you eventually become really depressed. You go to their graves and just cry, and then you pray for them to rise up. At that exact moment, when you're at your lowest point and mourning over your loved one, the Millennium Earl shows up. He shows up with a cold smile on his face and makes a contract with you that could bring that said loved one back to life. He then crafts a skeletal figure whilst bringing that said soul back into the world. But is it really your loved one? No, it sadly isn't. The skeletal figure has the soul of your loved one and is controlled by the Earl, who would then attack you as well. Then the Earl uses that figure as an Akuma for his army. It's tragic and it's sad to see whenever this happens in the story. Alan Walker, the protagonist of this series, had run into the Earl when he was younger, and an event happened that cursed his left eye and his mind forever. So the only way for individuals to combat against the Earl and the Akuma would have to be them having a connection to something called the Innocence. The Innocence can take shape in any way and show up basically in all sorts of places. Its origin goes back thousands of years and has a strong link to the secrets of the plot. If a person has an innocence and is able to synchronize with it, they can use it to their own disposal against the Earl and the Akuma. The innocence is basically a weakness to them. You'll find out why. It's a pretty interesting power system as it can take form in any shape, even a heart. That's basically the main things I can say about the story without spoiling anything too big. The Black Order struggle against the Earl, his army of Akuma, and as well as a mysterious group of people whose bloodline goes way back thousands of years. Oh, and also, the Earl has been alive for 7,000 years, which makes D. Gray Man's lore span from all the way back then, which gives you many mysteries to uncover. Like who exactly is the Earl and why he's doing all of this, as well as the mysterious group that I mentioned before called the Noah, who have some really big connections towards some certain people. I won't talk about that though, because that's obviously spoilers galore. Now the themes D. Gray Man tackles is one that could definitely resonate with some readers. It specializes in self-identity and has multiple incidences where people would have to come to terms with themselves, which is something I really love to see in stories because they're either inspiring or just overall hype. Well, it's also a tragedy in some way that correlates with the protagonist, so if you love those kinds of stuff, you'll definitely love D. Gray Man. And also, the way it tackles these themes, in my opinion, it does it perfectly, even if the series is still unfinished. Now for the main cast, D. Grayman does them so well. Each and every single major character is able to have their own moment in the series, and the mangaka is able to connect them to the readers as well, not making us bored in any way. Every time we see them struggle in the story, the manga makes us feel for them each time. Every time we see them go crazy in fights, the manga makes us hyped up each time. D. Grayman has a way of connecting us to the characters because, well, the mangaka is able to write them in a way that explains their motives, emotions, and mindset without making us bored with big text wars or lengthy dialogue. Their characterization is shown to us simple and sweet. We understand them and we sympathize with them, so we're able to slowly connect to their feelings, making us attached to D. Grayman even more. I swear, the connections of each character make the story interesting as well. The way they're tied into major plot points and events that happened in the story is just shocking. You'll find out what I mean when you get to the later halves of the story because, man, the plot is able to shock us in each arc. Those later arcs are around where my favorite reveal is, so you'll know what I mean when you get to that moment. But I can say now that you definitely won't be disappointed. Oh, and also, I can't believe I haven't even spoken about the main protagonist all too much. Well, his name is Alan Walker, and he definitely won't give you a generic shonen main character vibe. I'd say he's more like Ken Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul, and even then, I'd still have my man Alan over Kaneki, which is a big thing since I love Kaneki. Alan is a pretty tragic character as well. You'll come to find out about why as the story goes on, but I'd say you'd get that vibe straight away from chapter 1, because man, you see something really bad happen to him in chapter 1. Even if he is a tragic character, he's like a clown and puts on a persona to hide the pain that he's going through, coping with his loss through the story and putting a smile on his face to show his friends that he's alright and they should be alright as well. His journey is compelling and the secrets of his life intrigues the readers each arc because in each one you find bits and pieces on his connection to the different people that show up in the later half of the story. Alan is just so inspiring for the things that he does, and the impact he has on the main cast compels them enough to be better, which is something I really admire and respect in a character. Alan Walker is the GOAT, that's just it. Get on D. Grayman right now and witness this amazing character. My overall thoughts on this series is that it was just an insane, captivating manga. It does things that I like perfectly well, especially the mystery, and the story never ever becomes boring. People say it had a slow start, but I was easily taken in by the themes that it portrayed in chapter 1, especially the Akuma stuff, which surprised me as I had never seen anything like that before. So I definitely say it gets good and interesting at the very start, which I hope it does for you. To be honest, I'm actually surprised this isn't that known in the community. There's barely any videos on it, so it's kind of sad to see people not giving the credit that it deserves. So I'm hoping when people see this, they'll eventually hop on this manga and maybe, well, love it. I for one love it a lot after just recently catching up, and I can say you won't be disappointed. The manga currently has 241 chapters, and don't go for the anime, go for the manga. It has way better art, and watching its evolution is really one of the greatest things you can experience. So that's what I'm gonna end it off for today. Hopefully you did enjoy it, and if you did, make sure to share the video around. Maybe you can get more people on D. Grayman as well. That'd be great. So like always, subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and follow my Twitter down below. It's been Endless Requiem, peace.